Hey, this video contains violence and stuff, so if you don't like violence, then click off, I guess. Yeah, enjoy the video, everyone. About a year ago, while scrolling through my YouTube recommendations, the trailer for Mfkz popped up. Intrigued by the thumbnail and odd name, I clicked on it. The trailer was cool, and really cryptic, which I liked. It didn't give much of the film's plot away at all, not giving much context to what was going on during all these scenes and bizarre shots like this. After watching the trailer, I was pretty interested in this film, as it looked like a cool blend between Akira and GTA San Andreas, which I feel sounds pretty badass. However, at the time I didn't know how to watch it, so for a while it would remain as just a cool trailer and nothing else. Then one day, after finally acquiring Netflix, I once again stumbled onto this film. I decided to go in blind, not checking any reviews or even knowing if the film was any good. After watching it, I decided to check the reviews for the film, and it turns out its reception from critics wasn't all too great. The film is definitely flawed, and I do agree with critics on many of their points, but it's so cool. Mfkz, or Mfkz as it was originally named, centers around two friends named Angelino and Vince. After gazing at this girl whilst making a pizza delivery, Angelino gets hit by a truck, which causes him to start having visions and flashbacks.
Maria!
Eventually, he realizes that these guys in suits have been stalking him and his friends, which later leads to a house raid that Lino and Vince somehow manage to escape, causing them to become terrorists and having to live a life on the run as they're being hunted down by these men in black. I really like our protagonists, Angelino and Vince, since they have a pretty great dynamic together, with them feeling like really good friends as they manage to stick with each other through all these tricky situations that they're forced to manage with. I think the fun of this movie is watching these two guys having to quickly find ways to get these government guys off their tails, in really fun and heavily stylized action scenes, with each feeling unique from one another. The house raid sequence is pretty cool since it's fun comparing the film version to the crude animation that the creator of Mfkz made. My personal favorite is the ice cream truck chase, where Lino and Vince find different objects in the truck in order to prevent the government cars from gaining on them. During this sequence, as the film's score plays, the ice cream truck music mixes with the OST. Unfortunately, I can't play it in this video due to copyright, but it's so good, and it's for sure my favorite piece from the movie's soundtrack. The film's OST as a whole is actually pretty good. Another track I really like is Palm Hill Rules, which plays during the scene where Angelino and Vince are traversing the LA-inspired town called Palm Hill. It perfectly fits the atmosphere of this ghetto area, and really sounds like what you'd think a ghetto-inspired song would sound like. I think the film's strongest aspect is its extremely gorgeous visuals. Every location is packed to the brim with details, really helping these environments feel lived in. These thoroughly detailed environments help give this film a lot of rewatchability, where you can find some really cool detail or Easter egg in the backgrounds for each different viewing. On the topic of Easter eggs, I'm pretty sure this guy on the bike here is Caesar from GTA San Andreas, so that's pretty cool.
Maria!
I think I've given this film a decent amount of praise, so it's time that I talk about my complaints with it. My biggest complaint is how this movie goes about telling its story. There is a lot going on in this film, and with the runtime of only 94 minutes, it feels really cramped and sometimes rushed. For example, there are a lot of side characters in this film, and almost all of them don't feel like they were fully fleshed out as they were in the comic, such as the luchador guys, who didn't really add anything to the film, and I feel their inclusion only helped to confuse audiences, since they were just another subplot added to the already abundance of plots going on in this film. I get that they play a key role in the comic, but since many more subplots were put on the cutting room floor when the story made the jump from a comic to a film, such as the villain of Bruce getting a much deeper backstory which made him a more interesting character in the comic, I feel they could have cut these guys out and made a few tweaks to the story, and it would have helped make the story feel a little more focused. However, the film does mainly stick to just Angelino and Vince, but sometimes the extra storylines can make things confusing. We also get two big exposition dumps that explain all the weird stuff Lino has been seeing throughout the film. But I feel the first exposition dump is visually uninteresting, and caused me to tune out on what info was being dumped onto me. The film thankfully picks up again for the last 25 minutes, and aside from one dump scene, that I'll get to in a bit, left a good taste in my mouth after the confusing and kind of unfitting facility segment. Another big issue that I and many others have with this movie is the character of Luna. And this is where I get into spoiler territory, so skip to this time frame if you don't want to know stuff about the film's final act and other spoilery stuff. Okay, I'm going to start with a little rant here. Luna got no character development at all, really. At the end of the film, Angelino's freezing to death, but then Luna pops up and kisses him, and no! Kissing someone should not save their life. This whole scene is really stupid. The It remake did the same thing. Spoilers for that film, I guess, but it's like 3 years old by now. You should have seen it already. But that film did the whole kissing thing to save someone's life, and it was stupid there also. This isn't a fucking Disney movie. Why do films use true love as a MacGuffin? It's so stupid! Then after the kiss, she's all like, "Thank you, Angelino, for giving me a whole new perspective on life." And I was like, what? Where the hell did that come from? This whole romance subplot thing, it was so dumb, and it's probably the worst aspect of this film since it was not fleshed out at all. Which it should have been, because Angelino gazing at Luna kickstarts the entire fucking film's plot. Instead, it felt like it was only there because it was in the comic. Evidently, her character in the comic isn't that much better in terms of development, but I don't know. Her inclusion was just kinda dumb. I was really disappointed by how the fight between Angelino and Bruce ended, and I would have preferred Angelino to get revenge on Bruce for killing his mother, which is what I expected was going to happen after setting up this tension between the two for the whole film, only for these dudes to kill him instead. Again, I know this happened to the comic, but I don't think killing him this way worked for the film. I was just glad to see Shakespeare was alive, since he's probably my favorite side character in this film, since all he does is quote Shakespeare, and I fucking loved it every time.
Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought is acts. 'Tis now the very witching time of night, when church yards yawn, and hell itself beats our contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the... Thus bad begins, and worse remains behind. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword!
So with all my issues with this film, you may be wondering why I even made a review to begin with. From pre-production to the final product, Mfkz took 8 years to make, and it really wasn't a success at the box office, not even making $1 million worldwide. And that bums me out, knowing that a passionate and hard-working animation crew worked tirelessly to get this film done, with not that many people actually seeing their finished work. And despite all the problems that Mfkz has, it's still such a unique and rare film, especially if you look at most Western animated films that play it too safe or don't even dare to go past a PG-13 rating. Now that the movie is out on Netflix, and with the creator, this guy, I don't want to butcher up his name, sorry, wishing for a sequel to get another film adaptation, I feel if this movie even slightly interests you, give it a try. It's relatively short, and I feel most will have a good time. And I'm certainly glad I got to watch this bizarre and unique film. Hold up, wait, before you click off this video, I just want to quickly give a shout out to Chernobyl Hobo for inspiring me to make this video. He made a similar Mfkz video, and it goes into way more detail about history of the comic and the creator, and it's a really well made video, and I highly recommend you check it out. And it's what inspired me to make this video, so yeah.